All right. I'd like to call the meeting of the Buckingham Planning Commission for April 25th. Please stand as Commissioner Gooden will lead us in the invocation and Commissioner Cruz will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear Heavenly Father, bless us as we gather here today to do the work of Buckingham County. Guide us, strengthen us as we do your will within this commission. Bless those that are here. Give us all traveling mercies as we return to our home.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioners. That brings us to establish a quorum. We have a full slate, 8 of 8. Before we move forward, I'd like to give Pete, our new member, a minute to introduce himself and elaborate on how you want to improve the board.
I'm Pete Kapuscinski. I'm a neighbor. I'm pleased to be here. I'm real pleased to have been selected, a little bit surprised. I look forward to serving Buckingham and our community and all of y'all. Thank you.
Thank you, Pete. Look forward to working with you. That brings us to adoption of agenda. Ms. Cobb, excuse me. Nikki, any changes to the agenda?
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor, raise your right hand. Passes. Approval of minutes, March 21st work session.
So moved.
It's written instead of yet.
Okay.
So those were the only corrections with regard to what I said that evening.
So moved with the changes made.
Okay.
Second.
Have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. That passes. All right, that brings us to public comment period. Do we have anybody signed up? No one signed up. All right, we'll close that and move to our old business. Public hearing sign placement for the notice of public hearing. No one signed up for that either. So I'll close that and we'll move to the commissioners. Any discussion on that? That's just the revisions we made to the placement of the signs.
I would move that we move that along to the Board of Supervisors.
Further clarification or anything, any other discussion from me and further definition? You all did discuss this in our work session because the Board of Supervisors in January had tasked the Planning Commission with moving forward with a recommendation back to them. I'll just read over just a little bit just to give you a bit more information this afternoon since it's been a little over a month since we had the meeting. But the county's ordinance requires that applicants post signs when an application for a special use permit is made. The county by custom has generally done this, and we are a Dillon state, and a locality cannot do more than is authorized by the state. The courts have said that a county can't require the posting of the signs by the applicants. Buckingham has continued the practice in a general way just to try to get notice out for all of the public. And there may not have been a specific adherence to that requirement. To that end, the amendment needs to be added to the zoning ordinance to cover the legal part of these signs. We would still require the signs be posted, but we would add language to our zoning ordinance that provides for any type of non-compliance by the applicant with the sign posting, that it would not invalidate the actions taken by the Planning Commission or the Board of Supervisors. So that would be what you're making a recommendation back to the Board of Supervisors.
Okay. Thank you, Nikki. Any discussion from the commissioners? I have a motion to approve then.
I make a motion, we approve this to the Board of Supervisors.
Do I have a second? Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. That passes. That brings us to case 22, special use permit 301, Amos Smucker. It's my understanding that they have pulled this application.
Yes, sir. We did receive a formal notification from Mr. Smucker and Mr. Byler withdrawing the application for this SUP 22301. They state due to the fact that Sprouse's Lane cannot temporarily be used for Sprouse's Lane location, a new site was picked on Batten Shop Road. Hopefully this letter is a sufficient confirmation to withdraw and/or void the special use permit application that was signed by Amos Smucker and Aaron Byler, tax map 12412, and that was submitted to the administration building last week. And each of you have a copy of that as well.
Okay.
I
Thank
make a
you.
motion that we go ahead and accept the withdrawal of the permit.
Have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Okay, that passes, withdrawal is approved. That brings us to, Nikki, our new businesses.
Yes, sir. I apologize. Our first introduction this evening is case 22-SUP 302. Our landowner is Dominic Lamont, and our applicant is Aaron Reed Lamont at 1833 Mulberry Grove Road, Buckingham, Virginia 23921. The tax map is 93, our parcel is 12, and it contains approximately 4 acres. And the property for which they are asking for the special use permit is actually located at 1867 Mulberry Grove Road, Buckingham 23921. It is in the Maysville Magisterial District. The zoning is currently A1, and the request from the applicant is to obtain a special use permit for the purpose of operating an Airbnb bed and breakfast with 6 dry campsites. The applicant is asking the Planning Commission to recommend a public hearing date to hear this request. The zoning ordinance, of course, does not permit an Airbnb bed and breakfast and 6 dry camping sites as permitted by right uses in an agricultural A1 zoning district. The zoning ordinance requires that an Airbnb and breakfast and/or campground campsite obtain a special use permit. There are 14 conditions that have been listed. If you remember, there were a few of these applications in the months of November that were introduced to the Planning Commission. They did move forward and were voted for approval in February of 2022, and these 14 conditions mirror those cases because they are all similar in nature. What would be the wishes of the Planning Commission? Would it be to set a hearing date, May 23rd, 2022 at 7 p.m.? One thing to ponder there. And if there are any questions or concerns, our applicant, Ms. Lamont, is with us this evening.
Okay. Would the applicant please come forward? Just state your full name, address, please. Just give us a quick overview of what you want to do.
Here. My name is Aaron Reed Lamonte, and I currently reside at 1833 Mulberry Grove Road. And the property was family property, and we bought it because we didn't want to see it, go anywhere. And we currently have 5 children, 3, and we've adopted 2. And we really I love to host and have people. We've always got people from Louisiana that come to visit. So there's always an issue of where they're going to stay. They have to go to Appomattox or drive. So I just thought, instead of the house just sitting and dwindling away, just to, be able to host people and have people there, and it's not an issue of where they're going to stay and when and where. So then it just kind of grew of, well, if my family's having an issue of somewhere to stay, then surely that other people that come to visit Buckingham, Appomattox, Charlottesville, are surely looking for a place to stay as well.
Okay. Commissioners, do you have any questions for the applicant at this time?
Yeah, excuse me, the way I read it, you have a home and a cottage on the property, is that correct?
It's 2 separate parcels, yes, sir.
Okay, so the cottage is the thing that you're renovating, or it's already been renovated?
We're renovating it, yes.
You're expecting to have it completed when?
In the next month or so, yeah, earlier than expected. Like the new roof just went up, the guy's coming to paint it Wednesday. So that really is just the finishing touches.
This cottage would hold a family, 4, 6, 8?
6. Yes.
Right.
It's got 2 queen beds and like a day bed area that I've got like a pull-out couch to hold 2 as well.
Okay.
The property is it's right next to the, my home.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions from the commissioners?
Just one, sorry.
Yes.
Condition 8 on our list, if you've read through these, talk about getting a commercial waste container. And I noticed in your narrative, you said that the trash was taken out with your family trash. I just wanted to make sure that you had.
Yeah, me and
noticed
Nikki,
that.
she kind of went over that and discussed there would need to be, something done about that.
Yep.
While we're on that, you understand and read all of the other
Yes, sir.
conditions? Okay.
Yes, sir.
And you're fine with those?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Make a motion to move it on to the public hearing for the 23rd.
Second.
A motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. See you on the 23rd.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next case for introduction is case 22 SUP 303. Our landowners and applicants are Roy and Janice Turner. They reside at 429 Mapletop Lane, Buckingham, 23921. They have, I believe it's 4 tax maps that they are including in their application this evening for special use permit. So tax map 3434 with a little over 9 acres, nearly 10. Tax map 3433, 70.3 acres. Tax map 3434 Lot A, 10 acres. Tax map 3434 Lot B, 7.287. All of these are located by way of entry to 429 Mapletop Lane, Virginia 23921. They are in the James River District. They are zoned A1. This applicant wishes to obtain a special use permit for the purpose of operating an Airbnb bed and breakfast, campsites, and event center. Events to include but not limited to weddings, reunions, festivals, concerts, crafting, arts, celebrations of life with up to 1,500 attendees. The applicant is asking the Planning Commission to recommend a public hearing date to hear this request. As I mentioned, these properties are all located in the James River District, and the zoning ordinance does not permit an Airbnb bed and breakfast with campsites and event center as by right uses in our agricultural A1 zoning district. So the zoning ordinance requires that these types of events and uses obtain a special use permit. The Turners, Mr. and Mrs. Turner, did present a narrative and a full application. They are also here with us this evening. They do have 14 conditions attached to their special use permit application and introduction. Would it be the wishes of the Planning Commission to set a public hearing date, possibly May 23rd, 2022 at 7 p.m.? The applicants, I believe, are here with us this evening as well.
Okay.
They're happy to address questions or concerns.
Roy, would you like to come up and give us a little brief overlay?
We currently are in the process of getting an Airbnb. We have the property that, like Nikki had explained, that we want to, to apply for the special permit for events, weddings, exactly like Nikki.
Roy, the access, is it gonna have to come through the farm?
Will.
It will?
It will.
Okay. That was one question. On some of your major events, do you got any set times you think it might go? I know you're sort of in the future here, but just out of curiosity.
I would think, that type of thing will be over by midnight. I think that would be late, probably a wedding, wouldn't even go that late. It'd be,
Okay.
like
And
you say,
you
some-
won't need any special lighting or anything. If it is, it'd be temporary for.
Oh, absolutely, everything would be temporary,
Any other questions from the commissioners?
Yes, I have.
Go ahead, Steve.
Roy, I just wondered if you have any neighbors, or you've got enough land around that you won't probably have any problem with neighbors or anything.
I don't think so. I think that it's surrounded by our land on 3 sides, and I think the other one is family, Smith side, downriver
Yeah.
side.
I read it, I thought it was pretty interesting, but the question I'd have is these events that you intend to have, would they be like concerts?
Possibly.
Are they outside or inside?
Oh, it'd all be outside.
And so you wouldn't suggest that there would be neighborhood problems in that event, right? I mean, you're far enough away?
I certainly wouldn't think so. I mean.
What about the traffic? I mean, if you had a whole 1,500 people there, what about going in and getting out? And are you concerned about any congestion in that area, and how would you handle that?
Not really, because it's fields, and it could easily be opened up to, could be opened up to 2 lanes if need be. Because it's hayfield and pasture leading in.
So are you gonna have any kind of stadium seating or anything like that, or?
Not at this time, not, you know, we don't have anything planned like that. It would be all temporary, that they would, you know, they would bring in chairs, or, you know, for a wedding, you'd bring in tables and
So your wedding would, your suggestion that maybe people would bring in tents for the weddings, is that the idea?
possibly.
You intend to rent those tents too, or are they gonna bring that in on their own?
They would probably bring them on their own. I mean, you know, this is all, you know, down the road. We certainly don't have a
All
tent,
you wanna do is really offer the land and the parking.
pretty much.
You would take care of any of the ingress or egress, to make sure that all that traffic would have a logical place to get back onto the main street?
Absolutely, yes.
Any other questions for the applicant? A motion to approve.
I'll make a motion, we approve.
A motion to set a public hearing?
Set a public hearing.
Yeah. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. We will see you on May 23rd at 7.
2022,
Family.
7
Second
p.m.
on the list.
Thank you, Roy.
Thank you, Rob. Okay.
All right, our next introduction is case 22 SUP 304. This is landowner and applicant John Yoder. His property is located at 2750 Ranson Road, tax map 65, parcel 13. It does contain approximately 154 acres, and it is located in the Slate River Magisterial District. It's currently zoned A1. The request before you tonight is to obtain a special use permit for the purpose of operating a sawmill. The applicant is asking the planning commission to recommend a public hearing date to actually hear this request. The zoning ordinance does not permit a commercial sawmill as a permitted by right use in an agricultural A1 zoning district. However, within the A1 district, a commercial sawmill may be permitted by the Buckingham County Board of Supervisors by way of a special use permit following recommendation by the planning commission in accordance with this ordinance and the Code of Virginia. The planning commission may recommend and the board may impose conditions to ensure protection of the district if the special use permit is approved. The submitted application and narrative are attached. There are 12 conditions currently stated on this introduction, which of course may be amended, deleted, added to. Would it be the wishes of the planning commission to hold a public hearing, possibly on May 23rd, 2022, 7 p.m.? I will add, Mr. Yoder is in our audience to answer any questions, and one thing that I did want to add, Mr. Yoder did have VDOT come to his area on 2750 Ranson Road to review this. The applicant, along with his engineer, did turn the document in to Steve Snell with VDOT. We have not received that back after multiple attempts on behalf of the applicant, and I reached out as well to see if maybe they needed confirmation of my email address or any further information. I don't have that, so I want to make you aware of that will be an additional condition as this moves forward, if it is to move forward to the public hearing, that we would need to obtain that approval from them.
Okay, thank you, Nikki. Mr. Yoder, would you come on up and speak briefly, sir? Give us your full name and address.
Good evening. John Yoder. My current address is 541 Allen's Lake Road in Dillon, 23936. The property that this application, as Nikki said, is 2750 Ranson Road, also in Dillon, Virginia. Guys, most of you probably still remember me from a couple months ago. Wanted the same thing, a special use permit to operate a sawmill, but I was asked to find a new location, and I did, so I'm back. I also have Andy Klepak here from Hurt and Profit. He has my entrance and site plan here, if he can show that.
Does the commissioners have any questions for Mr. Yoder?
Subdivision part that you had that I saw in here. You got plans for that for?
What was the question?
The subdivision?
Yes, we are planning on a subdivision. Do they have these, Nikki? Yes. Okay.
In your acreage? I mean, I didn't see that. The acres are you cutting off on each one of them?
We're doing equal. There again, Andy is doing that. He drew up this, pretty much 5 equal parcels, which would be around 30 acres.
You count on the sawmill being on lot 1?
Yes.
And are the other 4 lots, are they family? Or is that you?
Family.
And they're gonna be above 20, in between 20 and 39 acres each lot?
I think so. We still didn't finalize that. The special use permit is for the sawmill. This subdivision is still in the distance.
I just saw it in there, I just thought it was part of this too.
The only reason it's in here is because it would possibly be using the same entrance.
Right. Okay, just check.
Mr. Yoder, just some quick questions to follow up like you others on me. You Monday through Saturday, you think you'll be sawing?
Yes, I'd like to have I think Nikki said one condition on there was Monday through Saturday, 6.
Yes, sir. Condition 4, Monday through Saturday, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m.
I have on my narrative, I have Monday through Friday, 7 to 5, but
Yeah, this will give you a little extra time. so
I'd like to
just-
have
yeah.
the rest, just in case.
What's your traffic level you expect, about what you had before? Or you
Yes, I mean, it's 1-2-man operation. My goal is to do 12,000 feet a day. It might be more or less.
Okay. Really all I had. Does any other commissioners have any questions for Mr. Yoder?
Oh, yeah, I have.
Go ahead, Steve.
Will there be any impact on anyone else in your area, the other families around
You mean on the subdivision? or-
Right.
Yes, they all want to work there.
Okay, that's what I was wondering, though. There's no problem with that.
These subdivision are my children. And the oldest is 13, so it's a ways off.
Any other questions? A motion to move this to public hearing.
Did you need to see the site plan from Annie?
Got it available, yeah, that might be helpful.
Actually
I
included.
thought it was in the package.
It's in your packet.
Yeah, it's
Yes,
in the
sir.
package.
Yeah, I was looking at it.
Yeah.
You're assuming we'll have VDOT information by the time of the public hearing?
Yeah, that's one thing. I don't, I know Dee Dee had stopped in at the property once. I wasn't there. I don't think VDOT was at the site, but Andy Klepak gave his information to Steve Snell. I haven't heard from him yet, but I don't think he was at the property.
And you haven't heard from Mr. Snell either?
I believe when Mr. Klepak, the engineer for Mr. Yoder, sent the information to VDOT along with the engineered plans, Steve Snell commented favorably. I don't have that email with me, but he just did not complete the document as required in the application. But he did comment favorably for the entrance, so.
We're actually waiting for VDOT
Just to complete that document.
just to complete the document, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's good clarification. All right.
There were no problems indicated by Steve Snell. He's the assistant resident engineer for our
Yeah.
district.
So move it to the public hearing.
All right, have a motion to move this towards public hearing. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. We'll see you next month, Mr. Elder.
The
Okay,
next
next.
case for introduction before you is 22 SUP 305. Our landowner is Jonas Fisher, 1039 Benton Shop Road, Dillon, Virginia, and our applicant is Jonathan King. He resides at 328 Johnson Station Road, Dillon, Virginia. The tax map for this application is 95, parcel 39, lot A. It does contain approximately 108.15 acres, and it is located near 1039 Benton Shop Road. It is in the Maysville Magisterial District. This is an A1 agricultural district, and the request from the applicant this evening is to obtain a special use permit for the purpose of operating a private school, a one-room schoolhouse. The applicant is asking the Planning Commission to hold a public hearing for this request. Of course, the zoning ordinance does not permit a private school as a permitted by right use in an A1 zoning district. However, within this district, a private school may be permitted by the Buckingham County Board of Supervisors by a special use permit following a recommendation by the Planning Commission in accordance with this ordinance and the Code of Virginia. Once again, the Planning Commission may recommend and the board may impose conditions to ensure protection of the district if this special use permit is approved. The application and narrative are attached. There are 11 conditions. There have been approvals for private schools, one-room schoolhouses. These conditions are taken from those, so any additions, deletions, amendments, of course, may be imposed upon the 11 that are stated. What would be the wishes of the Planning Commission? Would it be to set a hearing and date, and time, possibly May 23rd, 2022 at 7 p.m.? I know Jonathan King, our applicant, is with us in the audience this evening, if you have questions.
Mr. King, if you would, sir, come on up to the podium and give us your full name, address, and just give us a quick overview of what you want to do.
Good evening. Jonathan King Jr., 328 Johnson Station Road, Dillon. Just asking for a special use permit to operate a one-room school. I guess it is our desire to operate a one-room, to have our own schools. Try to educate our children that they can learn how to make an honest living. Is there any questions?
I may add, that Jonathan King has reached out to VDOT and has made me aware of that, to have the traffic impact determination study completed. We have not received that back from VDOT, so of course, we'll continue to work together to reach out to VDOT to get that before it moves further.
Any questions from the commissioners?
I see you only have 3 to 4 vehicles per day, bringing the kids back and forth to school. I guess that's what you got.
I did think about that later on. I think I was thinking that might be, generally there'd probably be 2 vehicles per day, twice. So I'm not sure how that factors in there. I should have maybe made that 6 to 8 instead, just to cover there's at least once a year that we have a Christmas program, sometimes, some years. It'll generate more traffic, but on average it'll be 2 vehicles. Hopefully the school parents there are doing their duty and come visit school once in a while. We'll have an extra 1 or 2 per week.
I just like seeing them have a ride to school and stuff. More buggies on the road than kids having trouble.
As a rule, most of them won't be coming horse and buggy. There'll be more of the parents coming to visiting school that generate horse and buggy traffic.
Understand. Okay.
Any other questions from the commissioners? I can't seem to find it, but you don't start until August, is that right?
Usually the last month in August.
You think you'll have the school up by then, I'm sure?
We'll see what we can do.
Yeah, you'll be trying, in other words. Questions? from any of the commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, so we're only waiting on VDOT's official.
Right, what we can do, if you choose, we can move this forward to public hearing, but if we don't have that report by then, chances are we'll not be able to vote on it.
They have a, like a 30-day period that they have to respond, or don't they have any?
Generally, we being the applicant, calls upon VDOT to assess the location. Generally, we get them back fairly quickly. We don't have this one yet. I'm sure within the next 30 days.
I might have to reach out to them again.
Yes.
That would probably be a good idea. Reach out. Anyway, does that answer your question, George?
Yes.
If there are no other questions, we have to make a decision.
I make a motion that we move it on to public hearing.
A motion, to have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. That's unanimous. We'll see you on the 23rd.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Brings us to our next case.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Our next introduction is case 22 SUP 306. Our landowner and applicants are Lawrence and Anne Marie Prinsloo. They're at 781 Branstad Road, Arvonia, 23004. Tax map 41, parcel 11. This parcel contains approximately 235.6 acres, and it is located in the Marshall Magisterial District. It's in an A1 zoning district currently, and the applicant with this application wishes to obtain a special use permit for the purpose of operating an Airbnb, bed and breakfast, campsites, and event center. Events to include but not limited to weddings, reunions, business functions with up to 1,500 attendees. The applicant is asking the Planning Commission to recommend a public hearing date for this request. As I mentioned, this is located at 781 Branstad Road in Arvonia. The zoning ordinance does not permit an Airbnb, bed and breakfast, campsites, and event center as a permitted by right uses in the A1 zoning district. They do require that these types of uses obtain a special use permit. The application and narrative are attached. We do have the 14 conditions. Would it be the wishes of the Planning Commission to hold a public hearing, possibly May 23rd, 2022 at 7 p.m.? Mr. and Ms. Prinsloo are available in the audience to address questions, concerns, and any discussion regarding their application.
Okay. Would either of you want to come up front and speak? Thank you. Just you state your full name, address, and
I always say, looking behind my girl, like, she cannot be here. Good evening, everyone. My name is Christian Lawrence Prinsloo. You've got on the application Lawrence. The address that we have on the application is 781 Branstad Road. The main property is 497 Branstad Road. The property is pretty big. It consists of 3 dwellings. The main house, the original farmhouse, which is like 100 years old, and then a cottage, which is where Miss Absher raised and Jack raised their family. So this application is specifically for the old farmhouse location, and you will see it in your maps that I've actually drawn now. Is that me?
Do you have a phone close to that?
Yes, I do.
Maybe that'll help.
We just got a number for the road for this entrance not too long ago. So if I mess up the number, I do turn numbers around. So 781 Branstad Road is where the main entrance is. It's also where the family cemetery is. So the area, the whole farm, has got a lot of history around it, and we specifically bought this property with a 5-year business plan in mind. Last year, my second youngest daughter decided to hit the fast forward button and move us right into our last year of this 5-year plan. and we started doing some renovations to have a wedding on the farm. So we set up location, and everything is now we're working towards getting it ready for the venue, and to have the wedding venue there. Like we mentioned, it's a 235-acre property. It's got immense potential. And we've actually been renovating and doing a lot of agriculture things on the farm, specifically using the NRCS, and we implementing a lot of environmental practices on the farm. For instance, we have stopped cutting any hay on the property. We're doing purely rotational grazing. We have implemented a huge wildflower bed, and you'll see that in the map as well. So this is it's about an acre, just wildflowers that we are planting specifically to protect the environment, etc., etc. So we're doing a lot of stuff on the farm. It's a 5-year business plan. This week, a nice blue mark here, we received our 5 high tunnels to implement our farmers market garden on this property as well. So there's a lot of things happening on this property. Like I said, this specific application is for our wedding venue, special events venue, camping component, etc., etc. So we've done a lot of stuff, and that's where we're moving towards. I will answer as many questions as you guys want to throw my way.
Thank you. I'll open up to the commissioner for questions.
Yes. Did you say this was the old Absher estate
Yes, sir.
where Ms. Absher lived?
Yes, sir.
On the left.
Okay, I'm familiar with, okay, I just wanted, and I saw where DD had recommended a culvert approximately 20 foot to the south to allow greater turning radius. Is that going to be okay?
So yes, as a matter of fact, so one of the practices we have on the farm is cattle. So I've got cattle on the farm as well, and I've been planning to do this for the longest time, because when you come into the property, it's a real sharp turn, especially if you've got a 35-footer cattle trailer behind you. So yes, it needs to be done in any case. It's not just for this thing. It's just one of those mini projects, man on the island, that needs to get done. So this will definitely will need to get done. So.
What about your private road? That's pretty narrow in there.
So actually that's surprising because, like I said, we just had 5 high tunnels delivered, material delivered this week, and an 18-wheeler came in there. And I was stunned. Either the guy's a phenomenal driver, but he actually brought that entire 18-wheeler into the property. But even that is going to get changed because that we are planning to put a much better, nicer entrance there because we're starting a business and it's going to be very different.
Thank you.
So you said right now you do a farmer's market?
No.
Oh.
We that's part of our business plan. We
Okay.
have one of our missions for the farm is to do business with local communities. A lot of work that we've done so far, we've done with people in the community. It was so nice to bump into Mr. Bryant this afternoon and go like, Mr. Bryant, I need some work for you to come and do at my farm. Because he's actually done my entire market garden for me. So the market garden is part of a USDA grant where we have high tunnels coming in and we will do a farmer's market garden through that.
So you live on the property as well?
Absolutely, sir. I'm the man on the
I asked this
island.
question before, and I guess I'm a little bit unfamiliar with this, but, and I should have asked it with regard to the other one, and they intend to have these 1,500 people. Let's just say 1,500 people showed up. Is that a VDOT issue? I mean, do we need to know that VDOT's okay with that before we move this thing?
Yes, and that would be, they would do a study on it, and which I'm assuming they're in the process, I'm assuming.
So in either case where people are gonna have these large acreage events, one of the conditions is VDOT approval?
So what happens is when the applicant approaches VDOT for the traffic impact determination study, they are forthcoming and they tell VDOT exactly what they're going to be utilizing this for. I'm sure any conversation regarding an event that were to come up for 1,500 or more than 300 may require a one-day permitting from VDOT, which may be a bit different. As you can see, one of the conditions in this case, along with the other ones that have the events associated to them, any event with more than 300 attendees does require that the sheriff's office have a level of approval there. Generally, the sheriff's office will work with fire and emergency services to ensure that parking is adequate. If they need flaggers or deputies working that particular day, it actually becomes more of a plan for an event for that particular day or date.
We don't have to worry about that particular, in order to move this thing to public hearing, we don't have to worry about that particular thing, right?
No, because the very first condition ensures that they must adhere to all local, state, and federal guidelines. Generally, what I've found in the past is any applicant that is approved will come back to administration and ask those questions. Our applicants and those who ultimately receive special use permits tend to be very responsible, and we're very grateful for that. So they understand that any violation of the conditions could nullify their special use permit, so.
So in this review, the assumption is you've already gone ahead and had a VDOT review?
Yes, so we
Yes,
have.
that's.
Okay.
And that's where the question came out in terms of the entrance to 781 needs to be widened a little bit more. And it absolutely makes sense because that's also where it's one of the entrances to the farm where we load and unload cattle as well. So.
Okay, so the only other question I'd have is if you had a major event, and I'm assuming you would also entertain having concerts at your place?
Yes, absolutely.
Do you have any issues with your neighbors?
So my neighbors, is, with the exception of one person that's across the road, my neighbors are very far away. The closest, this road, Branstad Road itself, there is 2 other families living on the, except us, on the property. Last name Harris, and they are like, I would say, 500.
And your events would be outdoors?
It will be indoor and outdoor, so we
Your
have.
concerts would be indoor too?
So the concert, so the barn that we use for indoor will definitely not be suited for concerts. However, outside the barn, we've got about close to, I would say it's about 5 acres that sits between the barn and the creek, which is.
And your neighbor across the street is aware of the fact that you may have these music concerts or whatever concerts you have?
So obviously I've had conversations with all my neighbors. Yes, they do know that we're gonna have an event property.
You didn't
and
have
we
any
will
issue, there was no issue with your neighbor across the street?
No, no, not, no, not at all.
And please note that all of our applicants do turn in their adjacent property owners, so I will be sending letters to those individuals with properties that are actually adjacent to, and we will place public hearings for
Does
2 weeks.
that becomes part of the public hearing then, was that it?
Yes.
Okay.
So
sorry.
that way, any individual in close proximity or within the county itself would be able to come to attend a public hearing and voice their comment.
As well as Nikki said, what we voted on, the sign ordinance, there'll be signs posted for special, changing conditions.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Hopefully making them aware that there is there's gonna be a change in the property. I assume with some of the outside stuff, you'll be using temporary, like tents or whatever?
Yeah, absolutely.
Same thing.
Like I said, fast forward button was hit on this whole thing. So yes, there will be definitely some tents put up at certain stages. At this point in time, we will also, like we've done with the wedding, we'll be renting portable units from a septic perspective.
How about your duration of vent times? You got
So it is, at this point in time, like we've got it in our outlay, would be it could be during the week, but it will be from 4 to 9 type of fine. The weddings obviously go a little bit later, it goes to like the 10 around there. Whatever the ordinance is for the county is what we. 11.
And assuming also any temporary lighting, if you would, it would be temporary, if you had to put it forward on bid.
They will, yeah, there's now, yes, absolutely, it will be, the property location is very, very unique and absolutely leans itself type of implementation. The property, like we said, is 235 acres. We have this setup is going all the way back.
To the
into
back west side of the property.
It goes into the forest.
Right.
It faces the forest and actually the main house. So it's away from the neighbors. My neighbor behind me is the forest people.
Timberland. I'm familiar with the property also.
So the only people there complaining is the foxes and the deer.
Any other questions from the commissioners?
Well, the property he was saying before was 781. That's where you're gonna have events at.
That's correct, sir.
And you came up, you were saying 497, but that's your home?
That's the main property. So like we said in our narrative, we don't want to limit ourselves because the property leans it to tremendous outlay. Like we have the 3 dwellings on the property. Number 1 is the main house, then the original farmhouse, which is where the family cemetery is, and then there is the cottage where Miss Apcher raised her family. Bless her heart. I don't know how she did it, but it must be phenomenal. So yes, so all those, especially those 2 locations, will eventually be renovated. We plan to have the old farmhouse to be the bride quarters, and then the cottage will be the groom's quarters. After the event will turn into the
So should the 497 be looked at by the VDOT too? Is that what you?
so they've looked at both. They
Looked
didn't
at
make
both.
any comments on the 497 because it's so wide. Like I said, I just had an 18-wheeler coming in there to offload stuff, and all the construction stuff has been coming in there on the 497. It's definitely way wider than 781.
Okay, I just want to make sure we didn't have the wrong numbers.
Okay. Have any other questions?
Make a motion to move it on to a public hearing.
All right, have a motion to move forward and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. That passes unanimously. We will see you next month, sir.
May I ask, what is the, for the second public hearing, is there anything that we need to prepare for? Is there something that we need to bring?
We will have your application here if you want to bring a copy of that. During the public hearing commentary period, there may be. Please be present. The doors will open at 6:30 on May 23rd if they set that. Just be available to.
Thank you everyone for your time. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Okay, Nikki, that brings us to Piedmont Companies.
Yes, sir. Introduction for case 22 ZMA 307. Our landowners are Elam, Emma, Eli, and Jacob Stoltzfus at 25766 North James Madison Highway, New Canton. The applicant is Piedmont Companies, and they are from Lincolnton, North Carolina. The property information is actually part of Tax Map 69, Parcel 49. The entire parcel contains 96.25 acres. However, Piedmont Companies is to purchase 2 acres from the Stoltzfus landowners. Part of that documentation is included. Once this sale of the 2 acres is complete, we will have an updated recorded deed to accompany that to indicate that this rezoning or zoning map amendment is only intended for the 2 acres to be purchased. It is located at that 25766 North James Madison Highway address in the Marshall District. This property is currently zoned A1. The request before you is a zoning map amendment, and Piedmont Companies is asking the Planning Commission to recommend a public hearing date to hear the request for rezoning from A1 to B1 for the purpose of building and operating a Family Dollar Tree. As I'd mentioned, Piedmont Company seeks to build and operate a Family Dollar Tree on 2 acres, which are to be purchased. This proposal is located within close proximity to the Gold Hill Village Center area, which is characterized by a medical clinic, several small automotive-related businesses, convenience stores, a low to moderate income apartment complex, and several churches. The area is currently not served by public water and sewer, and a larger residential component would greatly accentuate the nucleus of businesses that are beginning to form in this village center. As in other village centers, land use policies that cluster residential and neighborhood serving commercial uses within this area should be considered, provided that adequate water and sewer is available. So once again, this is A1, but it is located in close proximity to lines of village center within. We do have the applicant, Larry. Right, if I'm not, I apologize. He is part of Piedmont Companies, and he's
Okay.
here to address questions and concerns.
If you would, sir, please come forward and just give us a brief overview of what you want to do.
You're gonna have a lot of weddings. I hope so,
Yeah.
for their sake. My name is Lawrence Bearden, and I reside in Davison, North Carolina, which is some distance from here, but we're developers for Family Dollar, Dollar Tree, and some other development company, retail tenants. Our plan is to put a Dollar Tree Family Dollar store there. That's about a 10,000 square foot store. It's a new concept. Half of the store is Dollar Tree products, which sell for $1. The other half of it is Family Dollar products, which sell from anywhere from $1 to $5. But it's a split type store. And we've gotten in touch with Steve Snell, and he's approved what we want to do as far as the driveway. We've submitted plans. We have a lease. We have lease approval. We have a contractor who's willing to build it for us if prices don't go up too much. And we're ready to proceed. We look forward to bringing this benefit to Buckingham County and feel that it'll be a positive for you. Let's talk about traffic for a minute, because I know you're going to ask me a question about it. We have less than 400 cars, day trips a day in there. Current traffic count on the road is about 3,000, I think, according to Steve. And we don't really have that many customers in and out all during the day. We operate anywhere from 9 o'clock in the morning till about 9 o'clock in the evening. And you have a store over here in Dillwyn that's a Family Dollar store. You pretty much see what they do in terms of traffic. So we're pleased to be here. Thank you for your opportunity to at least come before you and discuss this. If you have any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you, sir. Do commissioners have questions for the applicant?
Similar to the one they built like this over in Cumberland Courthouse area. I think it's a new one over there.
Not really sure. I'm one of maybe 4 or 5 developers that work in Virginia. And what happens is Dollar Tree Family Dollar sends us to various communities to find a site. If it's got Dollar Tree on one side and Family Dollar on the other, it's very similar. Exactly the same. And I think we provided in our rendering.
You did, yes, sir.
So it should be in your packet of what it looks like. I'm sorry, I can't answer the question specifically.
It looks the same.
Yeah, well, it probably will be then. We'll try and make it the same or they won't take it.
Well, it's a good location. I think it should work very well.
I hope so.
Being right beside a health center like that, that's.
Sure. And I just hope it's a benefit. That's all. That's all we ever try and do. I don't think we try and do anything. But anyway, thank you. Any other questions?
You've read the conditions that we've got. I'm assuming you're already fine, you're fine with those.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions from the commissioner?
And congratulations.
Thank you.
You do well. I'm sure I'll see you again.
All right, seeing if we don't have any more questions, to have a motion to move this forward to public hearing.
I'll make a motion that we move this to a public hearing.
I second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. Yes, we will see you in May, sir.
Thank you. I've heard some comments here tonight about Steve Snell, and he's a difficult guy to get in touch with, in all fairness to the applicants that have proceeded before me. He's very busy, and VDOT is very busy now and understaffed. I'll try and help you if I can with these applicants, because I think what people are trying to do here is a positive for your community. We had to bang away at him for a while, so I'll leave that thought with you. I'll see you later.
Appreciate it, sir. Thank you.
I know, thank you. And I've enjoyed working with this lady. She's been
Thank
very
you.
nice.
You as well.
I've got a long way to go, I'd stay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, we're about to wrap up anyway. Thank you. I believe that brings you to your reports.
In your packet, this month, there is the building permits report. You may want to take a look at that. The number of building permits are quite extensive. Then just from a zoning administrator standpoint, it's been a busy year. We're only 4 months in. I think up until this point, we'd had 4 introductions at one time, moving forward for 4 public hearings, and we've topped that this month. One thing that I will remind each of you, these special use permits or rezoning requests, they do speak to the development of more economic impact, positive economic impact to our county. So it's not just a special use permit for a specific purpose, because that business plan is going to lend itself to growth. And maybe, you know, it may appear small at a time, but anyone that attends any function, event, wedding, reunion, they're going to pass through this county, they're going to spend money in this county, and they're going to realize that Buckingham is truly the destination and the place to be, to travel, work, live, and relax. So I appreciate each of you on the Planning Commission. You have lots to keep you busy in the months moving forward, and I just appreciate your commitment. Special use permits, the rezonings, and ultimately to the economic development of the county.
Thank you, Nikki. Brings us commission matters and concern. Do any of the commissioners have anything they want to voice at this time? Well, seeing none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, raise your right hand. We are adjourned. Thank you.